All right, so today we're diving headfirst into a Formula One story.
Yeah.
One that has really got people talking.
Yeah, this is a big one.
It's all about Alpine Fernando Alonso.
And a whole lot of what ifs.
Oh, yeah.
Could have been.
It's a real classic example of that in the world of F1, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And to really break this down, we're looking at this article from Octiario.
Right, a Spanish publication.
The title is Alpine Asks for Forgiveness from Fernando Alonso 3 years later. He's still the benchmark.
So, wow.
Look at a statement.
Yeah, so just to kind of refresh everybody's memory here, we're talking about Fernando Alonso, two-time world champion.
Legend.
Icon.
Who
Who left Alpine back in 2022. I mean, it was kind of a dramatic exit.
It was. It was. There were definitely some hard feelings there, I think it's fair to say.
For sure. And now, just a year later, Alpine's new team principal, Oliver Oakes, is basically singing Alonso's praises.
Yeah. Calling him a benchmark.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you got to wonder what's going on there. Is this like genuine remorse from Alpine? Are they just admitting they made a mistake?
Yeah. Well, there's a blunder.
Or is there something else going on? Because remember, they chose to keep Esteban Ocon over Alonso.
Yeah.
And, well...
How's that working out for them?
Not so well. Ocon is driving for Haas now.
Oh, yeah? And they are.
Pretty consistently at the back of the grid.
Yeah. So that's not looking so good. But here's where I think it gets really interesting. The article points out that Alonso actually predicted Alpine's decline, which was a big reason why he left.
Wow.
And now, get this, Alpine just recently announced that they're stopping their engine program in 2026.
Oh, wow.
It was like he knew, right?
Yeah, he was like, see ya. So that engine decision, I mean, that's huge in Formula One.
It is. I mean, explain that to people who maybe aren't as familiar with how important that is.
Yeah. Having a strong engine, it's everything, really. I mean, it's absolutely crucial for performance. When Alonso won his championships with Renault, which became Alpine,
right,
they had what's called a works team. So they built their own engines.
Which gives you a huge advantage.
Massive advantage. So, you know, losing that engine supply puts them at a real disadvantage.
So it sounds like Alonso, I mean, got out while the getting was good.
Well, it would certainly seem that way, yeah. Especially when you compare it to his situation now.
Right, because...
he's at AstonMartin, a team that's investing a ton, aiming for championships.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Alpine's just struggling to stay competitive.
So, I mean, just complete reversal of fortune. It's incredible. Alonso's up there fighting for podiums, and Alpine is just stuck in the midfield. Just trying to keep up.
Just trying to claw their way up there, which is, I think, what makes this whole thing so interesting. It's like, did they really understand how valuable a driver like Alonso was?
It's a great question.
Because we're not just talking about his talent on the track.
Right.
We're talking about his experience, his technical insights.
I mean, he's considered one of the smartest drivers.
Oh, absolutely. Up there, yeah.
Out there. So.
Yeah, and so it becomes this much bigger question than just, did Alpine make a mistake? It's, how much influence does a driver, even a world champion like Alonso, actually have on a team's success?
And that's what we're going to keep unpacking, so stay tuned for more.
It really is a complex question.
It is.
And I think this whole Alonso-Alpine situation really brings it to light.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're not just talking about, like, raw driving talent here.
Right. It's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
What else does a guy like Alonso bring to a team?
Well, think of it this way. He's not just driving the car. He's practically part of the engineering team.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy brings so much to the table. Experience, technical knowledge, and just this relentless drive to win, you know? He pushes everyone around him to just be better.
It seems like that energy, it's contagious almost.
Yeah.
You see it with Aston Martin, how his arrival has really energized the whole team.
Right. They're operating on a whole other level now.
They are.
And that's something the Octiario article talks about, too. You know, Alonso's not with Alpine anymore, but he still spends a lot of time at the track. Just observing, analyzing.
Wow.
And Alpine's new boss, Oakes, he's obviously impressed by that, you know, that level of commitment.
It's almost ironic, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, they let him go in part because of his age.
Right.
They were worried he was past his prime.
Yeah.
And here he is, you know, outperforming drivers half his age and showing this incredible dedication.
It really makes you think twice about that whole idea that older drivers are somehow less valuable.
Yeah.
Experience counts for a lot.
For sure.
Determination, especially in a sport as intense as Formula One.
So, I mean, knowing all this, do you think there's any chance at all, that Alpine could win Alonso back. I mean, they've publicly said, they might have messed up.
Well, the article did mention that some of the key people who were involved in Alonso's exit, like Otmar Szafnauer, they're gone now. But even with a change in leadership, I mean, I don't see it happen. I don't think Alonso would go back.
Right.
I think that bridge might be burned.
But that doesn't mean that they're not, feeling the repercussions of that decision.
Oh, absolutely. Alpine's got a tough road ahead, that's for sure. They lost their engine supplier, their star driver, and their performance has taken a major hit. And meanwhile, Alonso is thriving at Aston Martin. I mean, it's almost like he's got the last laugh now.
It does feel that way, doesn't it?
It does.
Kind of a poetic justice. It makes you wonder how differently things could have gone.
Yeah.
If Alpine had made some different choices.
Definitely. I mean, they could be celebrating podiums right now. But, it's a classic what-if scenario.
It is.
And one that's going to be debated in F1 circles, I think, for years to come.
Oh, for sure. But I think there's a bigger lesson here.
Oh, yeah.
Something that applies to everyone,
Yeah.
Not just in the Formula One world.
Oh.
It's a reminder that we should never underestimate the power of experience. And that we should be careful about making decisions based on assumptions rather than really understanding the situation.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes what seems like the right choice at the time, turns out to be a mistake.
It does.
And being able to recognize those mistakes, which it seems like Alpine is doing now.
Right.
I mean, that can be a really valuable learning experience.
Yeah.
It's all about acknowledging that there's always more to learn and that being open to different perspectives can really lead to better outcomes.
Yeah, it's true. In Formula One, I mean, those lessons can be expensive.
Oh, big time.
You make the wrong decision, and it could take years to recover.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of consequences, I wonder what kind of ripple effects, this whole Alonso situation will have on the rest of the driver market.
That's a really good point, because it's not just about Alpine and Aston Martin anymore, right? I mean, other teams, they're watching this whole thing play out. They're looking at their own driver lineups, and they're thinking, do we need to make a change? Do we have the right balance of experience and youth?
It's got to be like a high-stakes chess match.
It is. It absolutely is.
So every team is trying to guess what that next move is going to be and secure that top talent.
Oh, yeah. And you got to remember, in Formula One, the drivers, I mean, they're the most valuable pieces on the board.
For sure.
They can really make or break a team's success.
Absolutely. And speaking of valuable pieces, let's go back to Fernando Alonso for a second.
Yeah, okay.
The article really highlighted his ability to not just drive a car, but to, understand the bigger picture, to see those trends in the sport.
Right.
He saw that decline of Alpine coming, and now he's at Aston Martin, a team that's, on the rise.
Yeah, it really shows you how well he understands the sport, Almost like a business sense. He's not afraid to take a chance, bet on himself, always thinking a few steps ahead, always looking for that edge.
It's like he's playing 4D chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
So, I mean, what we're seeing with Alpine and Alonso, this isn't just, another juicy F1 story. This is an example of how one decision can have, just this domino effect that impacts a whole industry.
It really highlights how every choice we make, no matter how big or small, can have those unintended consequences, things you just don't see coming.
Right, exactly. And in Formula One, I mean, those consequences, they're amplified. But at the end of the day, the teams and the drivers who can adapt, evolve, they're the ones that succeed.
Yeah, well said. And Alonso, I mean, he's clearly mastered that whole adaptation thing. From world champion with Renault to a veteran just looking for the right opportunity. And now, well, he's a force to be reckoned with at Aston Martin. It's really an amazing career. And who knows what's next for him?
That's what I want to know. What about Alpine, though? I mean, do you think they've learned from this? Can they bounce back, get back to the top? Or are they going to stay stuck in the midfield?
I mean, only time will tell. But, that's part of what keeps us coming back to Formula One, isn't it? That unpredictability, the drama, the constant evolution. It's a sport that never fails to surprise us.
And that is why we love diving deep into these stories, unraveling those complexities, exploring the what-ifs, and of course, we couldn't do it without you. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Formula One.
Absolutely. And remember, there's always more to learn. Always another layer to uncover. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing those boundaries of your own knowledge.
And keep those engines revving.